Oh, it's been a while since I've used the reporting tools, so I was a little bit nervous about this one. But as you can see, we've only actually used one Alteryx reporting tool in this challenge, so it's not quite as scary as it first seemed. So we have our information here about all of the car service data there. So what we have is multiple customers will have had multiple services. So our first requirement to see who's not had a service in the last 90 days, it's worth filtering that first so that we only have their most recent service in our data set. So to do that, just sorting our customer, grouping it sort of by customer ID, sorting the data service in descending order so it's their most recent service that's at the top, and then just doing a sample where we're grouping by our customer ID, taking the first row. So this is just our data set now just contains those most recent services. So when we filter based on only wanting our services that haven't happened in the last 90 days, sorry there. So our date time diff calculation. So even though if you're wanting to make this dynamic, you'd use a today function here, a date time today. We're using based on the 29th of March instead, which is my dad's birthday, and doing that relative to the date of service and taking the day part of that to check if it's greater than or equal to 90. So all of these are within 90 days of that. And so they have fallen out, whereas these ones are the ones that we are interested in. These have been longer than 90 days. We want to get those customers back. So we need to do a couple of things to offer different services to different customers. So for example, for the maintenance service, we're saying if that mileage is within 4,000 miles of either 30,000, 60,000 or 90,000, we want to offer them this comprehensive car maintenance service. So just writing kind of like lots of if statements there to say if it's within those parameters, then write this text basically. Otherwise have it as null. And then similarly for the cost of the service, if it's greater than 200, then let them have 10% off their next appointment. And then for the lifetime cost of services, how much have they spent with us overall, we'll need to do a quick summarize. So grouping by the customer ID, summing up the cost of services. I did a find and replace just to append that field using the customer ID. I could have used a join there, but that's what I chose to do instead. And then just another formula tool to say, hey, if that cost of service is greater than 2,000, then we want this text to appear. And there's just a case of laying that out in the text tool. So having their hi, using the available fields to input them where we want to. So first name, last name, exclamation mark. Just copy and pasting this text for thank you for being a valued customer, and then everyone gets to take $5 off their next appointment. So everyone has this text, but otherwise we're just inserting these fields based on whether or not they qualify for those other conditions. And with this little bit of clarification there, I was wondering how you change the size of that text. You have to go to font and then you can change the font size there. And I didn't know you could also add an image in as well, this little icon of a dolphin. So I popped that in as well. And I changed this to be center aligned. And that was all I needed to do really. I just selected off the fields I didn't need, so I've just got this text field. And then this would be ready to send in our email tool. But since we won't all have, so for example, our email needs to be kind of a bit more consistent, the domain of it. And since we don't have that, then we haven't chosen to actually configure the email tool. That would be a bit difficult for this challenge. We'd need like, real emails. But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this quick solution and hopefully it wasn't too daunting for you either.